Just before midnight on October 12, 2023, a Hialeah apartment became the center of a chilling allegation. Prosecutors say 13-year-old Derek Rosa stabbed his mother 46 times as she slept while his newborn sister lay unharmed nearby. What followed is even more disturbing. Rosa is accused of photographing his mother's body, taking a blood-soaked selfie, and sending the images to a friend, asking what they thought. Minutes later, he called police and allegedly confessed. Tonight, you'll hear that alleged confession. But first, silence wrapped the Columbus home where Spencer Tepe, a 37-year-old dentist, and his wife Monique should have been starting an ordinary Tuesday. Instead, worry spread. Spencer missed work. Monique didn't answer her phone. Neighbors heard crying from inside. Frantic calls went to 911. When police finally entered on December 30th, the house held answers no one was ready for. Spencer had been shot multiple times. Monique lay nearby, killed by a gunshot to the chest. Their two young children were inside, alive, unharmed, and crying in the dark. There was no sign of forced entry, no firearm found at the scene. Investigators ruled out murder-suicide almost immediately. Nearly a week later, the killer remains unknown. No suspect, no arrest, just a quiet house, grieving children, and a city waiting for the truth. Tonight, we take a look at the mystery surrounding the murders of Spencer and Monique Tepe. I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. Great to have you aboard. I hope your holiday season was wonderful. I hope your household was filled with warmth and joy and love. Because what we're going to talk about right now is the opposite of that. I want to talk about the Tepes. This was a happy couple. Everyone that has spoken about them talked about their personalities, bigger than life, and a couple starting a family in Columbus, Ohio. He's a dentist. She's a stay-at-home mom with the two little ones, and they've got what seems from the outside to be this amazing life, this journey that they're beginning, right? And it's the holiday season. And then the tragic scene inside of their home. Mom dead. Dad dead. Both shot and killed. And when you hear that headline, you're going to think, oh, was there something we didn't know about this couple? Was there some murder-suicide thing that happened here? No. No. There's no weapon left behind. Somebody did this. And think about what they did, because the children survived. The children were in the house at the time that their mother and father are killed by someone, and they're just left in the dark crying. Who knows for how long? Who knows what they saw, what they understood, what they'll remember about this. But their parents were stolen from them. Their lives have been drastically changed, and two young lives, this young couple, taken by a killer. But the question tonight is, what happened here? What happened to this family? Who is responsible? There was no sign of forced entry. There's no talk of things being taken from the home. It wasn't a home invasion. What happened here? Tonight, new developments, and I got to show you this. Video released from the police over in Columbus, Ohio. Video of someone from an alleyway close to the home. Unfortunately, when you watch this video, what you're going to see is not 100% clear. A lot of times these surveillance videos aren't. As a matter of fact, it reminds me so much of the Delphi video to a certain extent. But let's take a look at this. This is a person of interest. Again, it's dark, it's cold, hands in pockets, hood on, hat hunched over. But is that purposeful? Is the head down purposeful, knowing that there's cameras everywhere that you don't want to be seen? Well, this person has now been seen, and I'm wondering if anyone would recognize the person with that type of a walk, those type of clothes, who might be in that area. They need to come forward. This is a person of interest, needs to be spoken to. Maybe 100% innocent, maybe 100% guilty, or may have some information that could help investigators. Speaking of investigators, let me bring in a special guest, former homicide detective, more than 20 years working homicides and high-profile cases. Phil Waters is with us. Phil, great to see you. Thanks so much for being here. Let's talk about this video first. This is the latest thing that's been released. What can investigators take away from this video? You get this. What do you do with it? Obviously, you've put it out on social media, the local television, court TV, everyone's put it out there for the world to see now. Are detectives taking anything else away from this video?
Well, I think the video, to me, indicates that this person has got a vehicle somewhere off the other block someplace, away from, if this is in fact our suspect, away from the scene. So, and just the way he's acting, it would appear to me that this is purposeful. The head down, making sure the hood is pulled forward. So there's a lot of things going on here that this looks like this is the best suspect going at the moment.
So let's take that to the next level, right? A lot of people are wondering, is this someone that they knew, perhaps? Because there's no sign of forced entry. Now, obviously, a door could have been unlocked, but it seems like it's someone who showed up purposely that night, may actually know them, but as you're pointing out, didn't park in front of the house. So this is something that seems to be planned then.
Oh, I think so. I think just the fact that we have, it is what we know about the scene. That the husband the father is shot multiple times. She is shot once in the chest, at least if that's what's been reported. So it's obvious, I think, to anybody that he is the target. Now, what we don't know is what caused him to be the target. This appears to be something, I would be shocked if it's not something very, very personal. I think it goes beyond the, this dentist performed a bad root canal. I mean, this is something that, and then they leave the children. They know the children are there, and yet they commit the murders, leave the children unharmed, and the children appear to be, at least from the pictures that I've seen, appear to be old enough that they can be interviewed, do a forensic interview with them, and see if they can give them any more information. Did they know this person? Is this person a relative? Is this person an associate of some kind that they've seen in the home before? The fact that there's no forced entry. I mean, all of these factors point to a person that was known by this young couple.
Now, I want to give you some more information here. After discovering the bodies of Monique and Spencer Tepe inside their Wineland Park home, this is December 30th, Sergeant Joe Albert from Columbus Division of Police provided an update to the reporters from WBNS 10 TV.
At this time, we have no indication that this is a murder-suicide, so that's something that we're working through to determine if it's something like that or if it is truly a double homicide.
We've got a little more information here, too, from the Columbus Dispatch. Columbus police records said Spencer was shot multiple times, like you said. Shell casings were recovered at the scene. Columbus police said no gun was found and determined their deaths were not the result of murder-suicide. What kind of information can they get from those shell casings, Phil?
Well, they're going to run a knife and check on those shell casings to see if they're perhaps that firearm was used in a related incident at another time. If they don't get anything from that, I would imagine in a case like this, and in every homicide case, the bodies are evidence. And I would be interested to see what the autopsy reveals, if these are contact wounds or if there's stippling involved. It'll give you an idea of the proximity of the shooter when he fired the shots into each one of these individuals. So there's a lot of evidence that's going to be gleaned from the firearms. I think that I'm assuming they will do SEM kits as a matter of drill, and that's to determine if there's any gunpowder residue on their hands. Now, there's going to be some gunpowder residue there because obviously a firearm was fired in their presence, but it will be interesting to see if there is a very small amount of gunpowder residue on their hand or a large amount. So the firearms evidence is going to be a real way to start to establish kind of what happened in the moment. Now, whether it leads to a suspect, they'll run that. If they did a connection to a firearm, they'll run that through ATF to see if they can track the history of that firearm and so forth. So we'll just have to wait and see what that firearms evidence reveals to us.
Yeah, and I've got to think another place to look is on their cell phones, right? Text messages, emails, to see if there was any sort of a conflict at all somewhere in their lives, or if they were expecting guests that night. And if so, would they have that information already by tonight, or does it take time to get the cooperation from the phone companies, et cetera, to get that type of info?
Well, if they've got the phones at the scene, obviously if they can get into the phones and cell bright those phones or use some other data piece of equipment that can pull the data off of the phones, the first thing I would be looking at is who are the last people that contacted these folks, who did they talk to, and then these are gonna lead you to other avenues of the investigation. So you're going to be heading out to those people and find out, okay, you spoke to them at this point in time. What was that conversation about? Look at their text messages and so forth. So we're trying to establish a timeline here as who and when were these who made contact with them and were the last people to have contact with them, and what time did that occur? So there's a lot of information that'll be gleaned from all the digital stuff, and I'm sure they're canvassing the neighborhood where we see this possible suspect walking from. We want to see if people notice something that was unusual about the setting that day. Did they see vehicles that are not normally seen there? Did they see this individual? Did somebody see this guy get out of a car on the other side and walk across? So I'm sure that the detectives are hitting that canvas pretty hard. You never know until you ask the question about what someone saw.
Absolutely. Phil Waters, great to have you aboard. Thanks so much. Great to see you.
Thank you, Vinnie. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. All right, let's bring in our think tank. Joining me tonight, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Al Wunsch III, along with criminal defense attorney Darnell Crossland and family law attorney Jennifer Brandt. Great to see everyone. First show of the new year. All right, Al. To me, this is shocking, right? Because you hear this scenario, most people think immediately murder, suicide, behind a locked door, no sign of forced entry. But that's not the case here. So it seems like investigators are going to have to dive into the lives of the dentist, Spencer, and his wife, Monique, to see what was going on, if there was a conflict with someone out there.
Well, you know, Vin, the scenario here is quite odd, but it looks to me like it's a professional hit, because the way the individual was walking and, you know, keeping his head down and walking in a measured pace, not running, because that would be the first mistake, especially because it looks like it's slushy and snowy and icy out there, so that it'd be a situation where they could possibly trip or fall, or also they would, you know, actually get attention if you see a guy running in that kind of an outfit at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning. That would be something that would, you know, somebody in the neighborhood would probably see and say something about. So it looks to me like it's a professional hit. Now, dentists carry a lot of drugs. Dentists have they have gold. They have a number of other things that they deal with. I mean, I know because I have a number of dentists that are clients that I've gotten weapon permits for, to carry permits, because of the fact that they have a extensive amount of drugs, and also gold for fillings and silver for fillings, things along those lines, which are precious, actually precious commodities. So it looks to me it's a professional hit. I'm also really curious as to how his office reacted the way they did, because he was a little late.
Yeah, well, we'll get into that.
My office. I'd have the police in my house every morning.
Yeah,
but I mean, he was a little late, and they were right on top of that, where they were sending people to his house to see where he is.
We'll get into that in just a moment. Darnell, let me ask you: no forced entry, zero forced entry here. I mean, someone rings the doorbell, someone knocks on the door, or maybe a door's left unlocked. How would the person know that door would be unlocked? I'm trying to understand how the killer gets inside.
Yeah. I know how they got inside. They used the key. They had a key. So
it's also got a punch code. It's got a code.
Yeah, they probably had the code too. So I don't know how professional they are. I don't see that they're looking to break in this house, shoot this guy in the chest, shoot his wife in the chest because they want gold or drugs, when there's no indication that drugs or gold was taken. They would have hit up the dentist lab or the job, the office. So I think that this was definitely personal, as the detective said. Somebody either had the code, the key, or something. And what you typically go to, either she was having an affair or he was having an affair.
Well, there's no indication of any of that, Darnell, of affairs. I mean, obviously they've got to dig into their lives, but there's been no indication from anyone associated with the family. I mean, the indications are like the exact opposite of that.
Yeah, well, you're obviously looking at what are the common motives, and what you see in these cases. We've done a lot of these on court TV. Somebody falls in love here. We don't have the proof yet. It's too early. But I don't think it's a crime of opportunity for any money or anything like that. It's something very personal, as the detective said. And what's more personal than affairs of the heart? We don't have proof of that, but I'm just saying, if I was a betting man, I would say this wasn't about money or any material. This is an affair of the heart or something like that. Jennifer
Brandt, two aspects. The other aspect, how they get in, and then the children are there. I mean, it's a beautiful home. We've been showing it, but it's not a huge home. Like it's an up and down. It's not a sprawling type of house. I mean, they are close by when all this happens.
Yeah, well, Vinnie, we really don't know what happened at all. And I think everybody's just speculating at this point. It could be completely a mistaken, a house that someone was targeting, and they got in there and this couple was there and they panicked and shot them. I mean, we really don't know why it was this couple. It didn't seem like they had any enemies, or it didn't seem like anybody was having an affair. And, how did this person get in? Well, they could have known the code, or they could have hacked the code. They could have knocked at the door. Who knows? I mean, how they got in. But, this person walking, I do agree with Al, the person walking in the alley, whether that is a suspect or not, I mean, this person seems pretty cool and collected. Looks like he's walking pretty slowly and just taking his time, not really running or in a panic. So, could it have been a professional hit? Perhaps, but who would target this couple? And I think that's what the investigators are really going to get into now, is why and how and, why these people were targeted, if they even were, and what else was going on in the neighborhood. Was there someone else that, maybe they went to the wrong house? Anything is possible at this point in time. It's
Jennifer, that's really interesting. You talk about the wrong house, because we took a look at this neighborhood, and it's a beautiful home, but it's one of those newer developments where, and it's kind of like the neighborhood I live in, where the homes can be very confusing. It's the same builder building a bunch of homes that are somewhat similar. They're not exactly the same, but it could be easy to confuse one with another. But then you get to the fact of, how do they get
100%
in? How do they get in? There's two ways. There's the back door, right? And to get to the back door, you either have to climb over the fence or go through their garage. Otherwise, you can go in the front door. They have a Ring doorbell on the front, but it looks like it's one of the battery-operated ones, which generally don't record as much because the battery then runs out very quickly. But they're asking for more
but
videos.
Knowing the devices, but Vinnie, knowing the devices that were on the types of locks that might have been on all of these homes or whatever, you don't know. Someone might have had some information about how to get in or how to break into these homes or get into these keypads. There's a lot of possibilities of, and why they didn't hurt the children. Well, that's not, so questionable. I mean, these were two little children there. Not that this person had a heart, but he sees these babies there basically, and they're not going to tell anybody. They're really young children. So maybe just left and, did what he did and just got out of there.
Yeah, there have been reports that the children are, we believe, 4 and 1 years old. All right, stay where you are. Al, Darnell, Jennifer, staying with us. When we come back, we got more on this story, including the series of 911 calls that Al was referring to. We'll get into that. Plus, coming up next hour.
Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, she wept online, posting grieving TikToks, and stood before mourners to say goodbye. But now that same Georgia teenager is accused of murdering the parents she claimed to love. Was her grief genuine, or was it all an act? Tonight, we investigate.
I'm going to ask you a lot of intensely personal questions.
From the crime scene to the courtroom, this is Victim to Verdict.
Everyone has this heightened sense of anticipation.
What a day here at Court TV.
Fireworks both inside and outside the courthouse.
Let the cameras roll.
Our boss did not report for work. We haven't been able to get a hold of him for 3 hours. We are on site, and we can hear kids
Okay, I just talked to somebody there.
Okay, I'm just making sure somebody called.
That is one of 4 911 calls that were made because the dentist, Dr. Spencer Tepe, didn't show up to work, and people were concerned. I want you to take a listen to another call. This one is from the dental practice owner who's actually in Florida at the time. Take a listen.
Columbus Police, Tech 107.
Yes, I would like to ask for a wellness check on an individual at their home.
Where are you calling from?
Well, I'm currently in the state of Florida. I'm on vacation, but this individual, Spencer, works with me, and he did not show up to work this morning, and we cannot get a hold of him or his family.
He didn't show up to work?
Correct.
Okay. Does he have medical problems or?
No, and he's been reliable, and we cannot get in touch with him, his wife, his family, anybody that lives in that house.
So
There's
you're
2
in
kids
Florida.
in the home. I'm in Florida. I own the business. I was informed by my employees that he was not at work, and he runs the office.
How old is Spencer?
Spencer is, 36, I believe. 37.
What's his last name?
Tepe. Have you guys received anything else, like calls about him or like a car accident or anything like that?
No, sometimes people just don't show up to work. I mean, maybe he's sick, I don't know. But he's 36, his name's Spencer. What's he look like? Is he white, black, Hispanic?
He's white. He's probably 6'2", blondish hair. Probably 185 pounds.
So did you receive information that he may have been involved in an accident, or?
No, ma'am. I just know that he is he is always on time, and he would contact us if there is any issues whatsoever. And I just don't know how else to say this. We're very, very concerned because this is very out of character. And we can't get in touch with his wife, which is probably the more concerning thing.
He knew. He knows Spencer. And you couldn't get in contact with Monique either. Something happened. Okay, so police do go to the house. They knock. No one answers. They leave. But the 911 calls continue because friends then show up at the house. Take a listen.
What's the emergency there, police or medical?
Maybe both, I guess. I don't know. I'm kind of doing the
We
wellness.
had a call out there. They knocked on the front door and back door multiple times, and there was no answer.
Yeah, no answer. I can hear kids inside, and I swear I think I heard one yell. But we can't get in. At this point, I don't know if I need to break the door in or just get in the house or what. So.
Okay, were you out there when the police was out there?
I wasn't. I just got here about 5 minutes ago.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll send them back out to you. What's changed since the last person I talked to?
There's a body.
There's a body inside?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me get you on the line with the medic, okay? Stay on the line.
There's a body. Our friend wasn't answering his phone. We just did a wellness check. We just came here, and he appears dead.
Okay.
There's blood. He's laying next to his bed, off of his bed, and there's blood. I can't get closer to see more than that.
Okay, so you can tell he's obviously not breathing or anything?
Yeah.
Is it like kind of like huddle, like, you know, does he look like...
It doesn't look huddled. I can't look.
Okay, all right, understand. Okay, and then when was the last time somebody spoke to him?
Yesterday, I suppose.
Yesterday? Okay.
Yeah.
How old is he?
37.
37, okay. Is he like a drug user or anything like that?
No.
Okay, all right, just that's a really young age.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, all right, we're on our way.
Al Weinstein, Al Crossland, Jennifer Brandt still with us. Al, you had mentioned this. I want to go to you first on this. I mean, these calls, they know that something is wrong. This is one of those guys, and there's guys like this that are so responsible. You know they're going to be there on time, and if something isn't right, you know something has happened.
Well, you know, Vin, I checked out the neighborhood, too. In Wineland Park, which is where the house is a transitioning neighborhood, which has known for gang activity at the park that's located, you know, pretty close to where they live. So I can't, and there was actually a high amount of property crime in that area, higher than a national average. So I can't imagine that their door is unlocked by any stretch of the imagination. And as I said, that there's also known gang activity at the park nearby. What do gangs like to deal with? Drugs. What do dentists have? Drugs. I'm looking at this as it's a, you know, definitely a professional type hit. It is something that was done to prove a point, and that's why the children weren't harmed. But, you know, when you take a look at this neighborhood, and I mean, it's a nice house. They paid $500,000 for that house 5 years ago, and it's a transitioning neighborhood, but the neighborhood's not fully transitioned, and it still has some rough parts. It's classified as uneven with regards to the rate of crime in the area. So, you know, I mean, I could see why maybe they were a little bit concerned that he didn't come in, and that's why people showed up to the house. I mean, it is remarkable. But I have to tell you, those 911 operators were just horrible.
Everyone always attacks the 911 operators. They're getting information. How about the police who showed up and didn't hear the kids? Jennifer Brandt, police believe between 2 and 5 a.m. is when all this is happening, middle of the night. I can't imagine that Monique and Spencer are awake at that time. You got work the next day. You got kids. They're asleep. He was found by his bed.
Yeah. Well, I think his bedroom was actually upstairs. The master bedroom was like on the second floor. So I think there was a lower bedroom. Reports have said that he might have been in. They may have been caught downstairs. So, you know, because whoever came to the house, his friend or whatever, saw it inside. So it seems like they must have been on a lower level to see inside. So it seems like they were possibly downstairs. But I completely disagree with Al. I mean, what dentist is taking drugs? He worked for a dental practice. He didn't have a dental practice. So, I mean, unless he's taking drugs home with him from the office, which I don't think there's any, I mean, the friend was asked, does he use drugs or anything like that? He was like very sort of offended by that. I don't think the guy's walking around with like, you know, dental drugs in his pocket that he would be a hit, you know, a victim of a hit. But I do think in terms of the 911 calls, I don't think there's any suspicion about that. I mean, these people were concerned about him. This guy was like a reliable guy. You know, some people have said, like, should the, you know, dental practice be, you know, suspect or something like that. But I don't think that's the case at all. I mean, they were concerned about him. This guy was the guy that showed up at work every day. And when they couldn't get in touch with him, everybody was concerned. So I don't think that part is unusual. It seems like he had a lot of people that really cared a lot about him. And a small practice, a dental practice where people know each other and everything, it wouldn't be unusual if he's supposed to see patients. The boss is away. He's supposed to be there seeing patients. Of course they would call to try to find out where he is and get in touch with his wife. Did something happen? I think that's all very natural that they made these calls.
Yeah.
And thank God they did, because if they weren't so persistent, these people might have been in that house for
days.
quite a long time.
Then you get New Year's, you get the holiday and all that. Darnell, this is a post from the dental practice itself. To our patient community, it is with heavy hearts that we share the sudden passing of our dear colleague and friend, Dr. Spencer Tepe, as well as his wife, Monique. He will be deeply missed by our team and the many patients he cared for over the years. Our thoughts and sincerest condolences are with their families and loved ones during this very difficult time. Our practice will be closed for the remainder of this week. If you have an urgent dental concern, please leave us a message on our emergency line, and we will follow up as soon as possible. We will assess our availability for next week's appointments and be in touch shortly. We ask for your continued patience, support, and privacy as our team mourns these terrible losses with gratitude. And that's from Dr. Mark Valrose and the Dental Depot team. Darnell, this is shocking, right? So he's got a profession, he's got colleagues that he works with that may know something about his life. Obviously, they have family members, and then you've got the digital evidence. It seems like that's maybe part of where the answer comes from, or it could be the physical evidence from the shell casings if it matches up to some other murder somewhere.
Yeah, well, a couple things. One, Al refers to this neighborhood as a transitioning neighborhood, and he talks about the gangs-related stuff going on at the park. It sounds like people might refer to this as a neighborhood being gentrified, and so then you have, a changing of the guard, if you would, and it leads me back to saying that this is not professional. If the neighborhood is being gentrified, you're still going to have homeboy down the street, looking at these young couples. They're looking, pretty upperly mobile, and then they break in there and do something stupid like a juvenile.
But there's no forced entry. How do they break in? That's the twist in all of this, right? Is that either they knew the code because you got one of those punch codes, or a door is unlocked. And as Al said, I can't imagine if you've got little kids, you rarely leave that door unlocked when you have little kids. Especially, you get older, you might get a little more lax. That's just stuff that's going to happen. But you got two little ones, Darnell. I think you're locking up the doors.
Yeah, well, you know what? If that's Detective 101, that you're going to say that they couldn't have left the door open when there's nothing else showing us there's no forced entry, then I think that, you might have to put your detective badge down, because it happens. And silly thing, there's so many people who leave their car doors open here in Greenwich, Connecticut, because they feel this false sense of security. And when the cars are being missing, they find out that they left the keys in the car even. So this neighborhood's being gentrified. People are feeling like, hey, it's changing. We can leave our door open. We trust our neighborhood, et cetera. Maybe, but we don't know. But we know there's no forced entry. So it has to be they knew the code, but the door was open.
And
so let's go with one of them.
They didn't get recorded on the Ring camera that's on the front door. I don't understand all of this. Stand by. We got more to get to. When we come back, another case involving another 911 call. 13 years old, accused of murdering his mother by stabbing her 46 times. Then he called 911. You'll hear the call next.
I woke up, went to the kitchen. I grabbed one of the kitchen knives, and then I went to her room, and then I ate. It's okay, you can say it. You killed her? All right.
That's Derek Rosa. He's 15 now. He was 13 when he allegedly killed his own mother by stabbing her 46 times. Getting ready for his trial. It's scheduled for the end of the month. In court today, they were listening to his 911 call. Take a listen.
So my mom died, I told her. How did you kill your mom? I grabbed the knife from the kitchen, and when she was sleeping, I stabbed her in the throat and in the back.
I mean, he's saying exactly what he did, allegedly, right? What is this trial going to be about? Let's bring back in Al Wunsch, Darnell Crossland, Jennifer Brandt. All right, guys. What is this trial going to be about? Darnell, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, well, obviously he's going to start off, this trial's going to start off with his confession. And we hate to say it because we play this thing down on the ground. There must have been some emotional disturbance somewhere here. Because normally, I'm going to use the word normally this does not happen. We don't hurt people. We don't hurt our mothers. And he stabbed in the throat and then kept stabbing. Something happened. So this trial is going to be one of those cases where they lay out what happened and then offer some mitigator and say he is not guilty by reason of. It has to be.
You know, the interesting thing is they haven't raised insanity until just about recently. So, I mean, you know, at the point when this case started, that was not coming up. They had been developing theories about perhaps it was the stepfather. They had the alternate suspects theories that were going around. And now they're fighting, you know, tooth and nail, and with good reason, to try to get the statement out by saying that the kid was confused. He didn't understand what was going on. He was so young and impressionable. And you see what the state's doing. The state is saying that this is a guy that wanted to be Jason from Friday the 13th and you know, wanted to be the, you know, a monster type serial killer. And that he's been, you know, looking at these horror films and he was preoccupied with all of this kind of, you know, horrendous, you know, mass murder that you see in all these horror films, slasher films of late. And, you know, so it probably is going to be now a insanity defense because I don't think anything else is going to be borne out. And if he does not get the statement excluded, there's no way they're going to do anything other than say that he's, you know, not mentally fit and that he has been damaged in society because of his preoccupation with all these, you know, slasher gore films that are prevalent on every cable station you can possibly think of.
I think the problem, though, is that along the line somewhere, it was either his father or his stepfather had said that he's extremely intelligent. He was an A+ student, did well in school. So I think it's going to be hard then to argue that he didn't know there was an insanity defense or something like that, especially because he Googled a lot of information when he was doing around the time that this crime occurred. So it looked like he was kind of knew what he was doing and was intentionally doing, looking to do something at least. And then
I have to say,
pictures to his friend.
My dear colleague misses the point that it's the smart ones that are the craziest ones. Al would know.
Well, you know, I mean, the thing is this: even if he is highly intelligent and smart and everything along those lines, he's certainly 13 and he's impressionable. And, you know, when you watch these films, you start thinking that way and you get preoccupied with it. He may not have had the best childhood in the world because of being smart. Maybe he was ostracized by his peers. We don't know. That hasn't been brought up, but that certainly is something that has happened in the past. And we've seen that where the loner who is intelligent, has got a high IQ, is able to think things out, is so just preoccupied without by trying to be either accepted or by doing something that's going to set him apart from the rest of the crowd. And certainly this is something that could have been done. I mean, the other excuse could be that he was being abused, you know, sexually abused by either his mother or his stepfather or even his birth father. And that the mother was hiding that from people and was not you know, letting that out and was blaming him for it. And you can see that might be something that
you're just totally speculating.
Listen, none of this has come up because the defense has not been putting these things out yet. The defense tried certain things without going into the insanity defense. You don't think that if they're going up there on insanity, they're not going to be talking about something to do with being abused somehow, and that maybe the mother didn't listen to him? I mean, how many cases have we seen along those lines?
How many kids?
You lose credibility if you go that far out. You can go a little bit out from the shore, but don't go that far into the deep, because then you're going to lose credibility. You can't just make it up if Woody had went to the police.
Well, but the thing is this, Darnell, how many cases have we seen, and you and I have been doing this, long enough to know that when you've got a scenario where a parent doesn't believe you, or you're being, somehow abused, and you are being, subject to punishment or otherwise because they think you're the one to blame on this, or you're making these stories up, you get angry and you lash out.
Let me throw this in the mix, Jennifer.
This is not
Jennifer, let me throw this in the mix. I've got something. The mom just had a baby, so he's got there's a little baby next to him. Could that be part of what will be this defense, that had some sort of an emotional impact on this 13-year-old, that he's now a big brother?
I think it totally could. I mean, if he had been an only child for 13 years, and then all of a sudden a new baby arrives and, he feels, he's being ignored or whatever because the mom is preoccupied with the child. But, I mean, how many people have siblings that does this happen to? And I think what we're all missing here is the pictures that he sent to his friend immediately after doing this, sort of bragging about it. This is what I did. This is what look at this. And the friend was sort of like, you killed your mother. Like, it wasn't something to brag about. So,
we shall see.
If all these theories are true, I mean, that doesn't explain what he did after.
Scheduled for the end of the month. Al Wunsch, Darnell Cross, and Jennifer Brand. Great to see you. Happy New Year. Thanks so much. When we come back, something else you need to know tonight, plus coming up next hour.
Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, a quiet Georgia town shattered, 2 parents dead, a teenage daughter pleading for answers on social media. But as investigators dug deeper, a disturbing possibility emerged. Was Sarah Patrick searching for justice or carefully crafting a lie? Tonight, we investigate.
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan Investigates. Tonight, 9/8 Central, only on Court TV.
The school shooting that broke hearts around the country and broke trust with law enforcement.
Now, the officer sworn to protect those students faces a jury.
The Uvalde School Massacre Trial. Live coverage this week on Court TV.
Welcome back. Time to reveal something else you need to know tonight. Let's take a look at the big board. Sister is speaking out. Yeah, that's right. Her brother pleaded guilty to the Idaho 4 murders. Now, Sister Mel is speaking to the New York Times. Take a look. Here she says Mel's brother was living just 15 minutes from the scene of the mysterious killings. Investigators had no suspects, and the killer was just the type of person who would leave his door unlocked and go out on late-night jogs. And this is what she said to him. Brother, you are running outside and this psycho killer's on the loose, she remembers telling him. Be careful. He thanked her for checking on him and assured her that he would stay safe. Mel said she was angered by internet posts from people who speculated whether her family had known all along that her brother was the killer. I've always been a person who has spoken up for what was right. She said, if I ever had a reason to believe my brother did anything, I would have turned him in. How about that? And here she is talking about the plea. In the days before the raid, the family gathered for Christmas. He remembered being thrilled to see his brother back home, hugging him tightly. They played party games. He was cleaning up the kitchen. He started to bleed, and her brother initially said the blood was disgusting. He's disgusting. He's a killer. We have a missing child. Please take a look at your screens right now. This is Zacy Smith, 15, missing from Dayton, Ohio. 911, 1-800-THE-LOST, or you can call the Dayton Police in Ohio. Let's get Zacy to a safe place tonight. Don't go anywhere. We have another hour of live true crime. Vinnie Politan Investigates is next. In the meantime, please don't forget to hug the kids.